In this video, we're going to learn how to set up the web-based training step by step. The first thing you're going to do is create a new training. Click on Create a Training, and the screen will actually prompt you what you need to do. For example, this is the title, where you would type in this case, the CAC Web Edition, or something that the email has prompted you to do. In the description, this will be given to you. In the email that Tracy Kohler will send out will be something you can cut and paste. Here's an example of what might be available to you to cut and paste. Of course, in the yellow, you would change the date to your own training. As you start to move down, we can see the opportunity to put in, for example, once, weekly, monthly, how many times this training is going to occur. We pick custom schedule because we like to do 4 sessions with 1 registration. So an example here would be, let's pick a time, take it out to 2021, just for a reference, and we'll pick the 18th. Put your times in. Typically these are going to be 2.5 hours long, so I'm only showing 3 to 4, but you would put a 2.5 hour long session, add another session. In this case we'll go with Tuesday. Again, you put your times in there, add another session, which would be session 3, and you'd put your times in there as well. Again, each one 2.5 hours long. Now wherever you are, that's where your time zone would be. Here we're adding the 4th session. Most of them will be 4 sessions long. So in this case, this was in Arizona, and wherever you email this to, it's going to change to their time zone. So put your time zone, your local time zone in. Under registration type, make sure you click Participants Register Once to attend all sessions. Now it's time to schedule. Click the button, and we'll take a look at the next session here, which happens to be setting up class activities. This session here also prompts you as you move through. For example, the web edition, you already have that information, the date and time, that's already in there. You can add it to your calendar. There's a whole bunch of things you can do. It kind of prompts you to do anything you want. And to the right, you'll notice the edit buttons. Every one of those can be edited. If we want to expand that date and time, you can see the previous 4 dates we put in are listed. If you don't like what you've done or you want to change it, then you can edit that as well. Organizers are set. You are the organizer, whoever created it. The audio, you can change that. Usually the defaults are just fine. Anything that's default is usually the correct way to go. Now it's time to start adding our actual activities, such as exams and tests and polls, workshop experiences. None of the materials or tests are in at this point. The first thing you want to do, for example, under Materials, we'll click Edit. We go to Add Materials. The Add Materials section is going to pull from the library. It could pull from your computer or any link, but we're going to pull from the library, which has already been populated with everything you will need as far as running this course. Click on the library, and since everything has been installed for you, so to speak, click on every single PDF file, which are the handouts and the pre-workshop equipment and slides, anything that's needed for the actual training. And once they're all checked, just hit Add Materials. You'll notice that on the top a green bar appears showing 21, in this case 21 materials were added. It's everything that's on the list. And you can scroll up and down just to see what's going on. There's S numbers, which stands for the session number. Now these little icons on the side, there's a little gear. If you click on that, you can download it. The X, you can get rid of it, but the little gear is important because we'll go over that now. The actual training that we're doing, a lot of the stuff is handed out prior to the class starting. So you want to make sure upon registration and during the registration is checked. Everything on here is going to default to handing out during registration and will be available upon the class starting. One other thing I want to show you here is the bio. We really don't have anybody's bio in the library. You must bring that in from your own computer. And pretty simple to do. You just go to Edit on your materials. And when you click on the Add Materials, it will have From Computer. Click on that. Search your computer for that file, less than 100 megabytes, your bio file. Click it, open it, and it will enter automatically into the list of materials, and it will not be in the library. And that's basically all you need to do. The next item is to actually add the tests. Click Edit, go to Add Tests, similar to what we did before from the library. And as before, pre-populated for you, click every single one. S1 would be session 1, S2 would be session 3, etc. Click them all, add them all, and you now have pre-populated your tests. You can take a look at it, and you can see the green bar at the top shows you've just successfully added 11 tests. As we discussed before, you could preview, you can do the thing with the gear. The preview button is pretty cool because if you click it, you can actually look at what an exam might look like for an attendee. Here's one on the compressor types, S1 because it's session 1. And you scroll down and you can just see if you do launch an exam, or this test for example, what it would look like on someone's screen. They would fill out the test, hit submit, and back to normal. So make sure that the little gear is checked so that you can see that during the training registration, show correct answers and tests. These are not handed out before. These are given during. Now some of them might say pre-training. That's a different story. Click on the gear, and there you want to make sure it's upon registration and show neither, since it's not an exam. These are pre-workshop assignments that the attendees will do. Go down the list, and anything with the word pre, double check and make sure by hitting the little gear on the right, the little icon gear, that what's there is during the training is not checked, upon registration is checked. So basically anything pre is upon registration. Anything with a standard S1, S2, you have to check during the actual training. Once you've done that, you'll see that you've saved all of your questions successfully, and you move on, and now we'll go back to Manage Trainings. If you scroll down, we've already finished our materials. Now we have to look at the polls. Edit, create a poll, and as usual, pre-populated from the library. There'll be one poll, which is S1, Session 1, which is when it's launched, Add Polls. And that's automatically done. There's only one poll, so there's no way to make a mistake there. You'll go back to Manage Trainings, you have a look, and you'll see that everything is in. There is no evaluation. Just share and track your training as the next session we'll be doing, where we take a look at the actual inviting of the attendees. Final step, share and track your training. We'll go back to the software and we'll have a look at what's available to us. Well, URL has already been created, which you can copy and paste. You can email it, you can copy, you can do whatever you want with it. It's your training. The defaults are usually what we leave. Attendee limits, do not close registration, things like that. The actual training size is going to be 50, which is way beyond what you'll ever need. Never close the registration. Automatically approve is already checked. Registration notification, make sure that is checked because it's not going to be checked at the beginning. So make sure your email is correct and that is checked. And then you hit save. On the top, a green bar appears showing it's successful. Back to Manage Trainings. Now is your chance to review everything you've done. Go over all the materials, and we can take a look further at what's available in the tracking portion. Email, make sure it's correct. Reminder emails are default, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week before. If you don't like that, you can edit it. I usually leave the defaults because those are good warning emails that go out. send a copy to the reminder, make sure all that stays checked. The personalized text that I have here is something you would fill out, because in the email that goes out to the registrants, it's just a little reminder. I have it, so please, hey, do the class work. Check everything that you've done. Materials link will be populated when you put your class together. You can test your connection. Things like that are available on the software. It allows you to make changes. Here's an example of a registration and one person acknowledged. If you click on that registrant, there might be 20 in yours, but here's one. If you click on that registrant, whether they've done a test or not would be available. So you click on the exam or the test that they've completed, a pre-test of course, and you would bring that into the class PowerPoint. Here's an example of someone who answered a question, and you make it part of the PowerPoint presentation. The last step, and the most important, is to please review that once the training begins. Section 5 of the document that everybody has available to them. Section 5 goes over actually launching the program and looking at the actual the windows that'll be in front of your face, how to separate the web-based components, how to move them to a second screen, what the attendees will see, you as a presenter, what you might see. It goes over how to launch an exam. It would be way too complicated for this video. Much more visual if you actually look at the document. Thank you and good luck.